listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Hey, welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. We are here once again. Today, we have another show lined up for y'all. We have a special guest. His name is Michael W. Allison. He has a website you can go to, is michaelwallison.com. We're going to learn everything about him and what he does and also his life story. He is a Purple Heart veteran, a trauma survivor, a business consultant, a keynote speaker, a life coach, and the CEO of the Adversity Academy. First and foremost, Michael, thank you for your time. How you doing?
Man, it's a pleasure, brother. Thank you for having me here, man. I'm doing good.
Yes, sir. Appreciate your time. So you have a powerful story. I mean, I was reading your bio a little bit about you. You had your journey starting in Jamaica and your family ended up coming to the United States, ended up being in Florida, Miami. Tell us a little bit about what it was like with your family.
Yeah, man. Initially, family-wise, growing up in Jamaica, it's the countryside of town, I want to say, so we didn't grow up with like some of the things that kids grow up with in these days. So we didn't have like your KFCs, your Domino's, your Red Lobsters, or your Walmarts, any of those things. We have markets, we got taxis, and everything that we eat is grown from the ground and stuff like that. So that's the kind of community that I grew up in. And then due to a flood that devastated our family, so whatever my mom and dad worked for, they lost it and left us temporarily homeless. From there, man, a couple of years later, we got hit with Hurricane Gilbert. I'm not sure how many people is familiar with that, but that hit Jamaica and rocked us again and damaged everything for the family. From there, my family made a decision to go to New York City. And eventually, they had asked for my grandma to take care of us for a little bit. But if you know anything about like some of the immigrants or some of the people from the Caribbeans, they migrate to different parts of the United States and then eventually link back up. So me and my siblings, we went to Miami, Florida, man. And we moved to Miami, lived in our Overtown. And this was a difference. So I'm in the inner city, the projects, the ghetto, coming from this countryside of town. And now I'm seeing prostitutes, drug dealers, drugs, you name it. That's what I'm seeing on a day-to-day basis once I got to Miami, Florida, man.
And I read about also that you were definitely into sports. You had big dreams in playing football, but something happened in high school. Tell us a little bit about that situation.
Yeah, man. So when I came to the United States, I knew cricket and I knew soccer, but I found a love for American football, and I was in Miami, so I had an affinity for the Miami Dolphins initially. So I started seeing Dan Marino, Louis Oliver, Brian Cox, Mark Clayton, all of these guys play, running up and down and seeing people jumping around and all that stuff. So I said I wanted to give it a go and see how good I could be at it, and I did. I played in high school for Miami Northwestern High School, and then I eventually played for Hialeah Miami Lakes football team. I played offensive line and some defensive line, and I was pretty good. Made a couple of different teams in regards to like your all date and all these different types of things. And then once I was getting a little bit of buzz or whatever about myself, I tore my ACL and MCL my junior year and my senior year, which was really devastating. I was getting some letters from a couple colleges that was up and coming. Back then, UCF was up and coming. University of South Florida was up and coming. But the biggest college that stood out for me was University of Wisconsin. And that's where I had my eyes set on. But once those injuries came, man, I had to get the bad news that they were no longer interested in me due to the injuries. So with that being said, we had to make some of the decisions in life in regards to some of the career decisions for myself.
Once again, talking to our guest today, Michael W. Allison. Go to his website, michaelwallison.com. A little bit further down the road, you end up deciding to join the Marines, U.S. Marine Corps, and you end up serving for 8 years. I want to thank you for your service. What prompted you to decide military was an opportunity for you to explore?
Yeah, so, I've always had like a keen eye looking at a different branch of service when I was in high school, and a recruiter had approached me and told me about what the service could do for me in regards to like a career path and all of the benefits that comes with it. One of the things that they definitely highlighted for me was the utilization of the GI Bill. So that definitely intrigued me once the opportunity with Wisconsin kind of fell to the wayside. In addition to that, my family, we didn't have money like that to go to college. I don't think we did all of the researching in regards to like your grants, your financial aids and all of the different financial aspects that come with going to college. So the route that I chose was United States Marine Corps. Joining the Marine Corps was one of the best decisions that I've made, though, man. It taught me so much in regards about myself to just grow up as a young man. Taught me a lot about leadership, teamwork, the mission, the vision, identifying what a purpose is. And then, when I joined, man, I went through boot camp 3 months, one of the hardest things I ever did, but I did graduate. After our boot camp, I went to Marine combat training where they train you how to simulate in a war. Unfortunately, while I was doing that, I did get hypothermia and found myself in the hospital, man. And I was like, man, another bad break. Eventually, I did finish the training, got out of the hospital, and then just got to working and moved myself up the ranks. And as I was doing that, some terrorists hit New York City, and lo and behold, like one of the biggest concerns my parents always had was obviously going to war. So when I was in the United States and as a kid, I seen Desert Storm and all those different types of things that was going on around that time. So that's what they saw and that's what they heard about. So that was a big fear for them. Lo and behold, I was in, and terrorists struck New York, and it was eventually that we're going to get the call to go to Iraq. So fast forward, I was in Japan and I was training. And then I had transferred to California, and I was training out there too. And then Captain Venning came out while I was training and told us it was our turn to go to Iraq. From there, man, we got all of the training that we needed. And it was one of the toughest times in my life, because obviously I've never been to war before. We're training, we're preparing, all those different things that come with going to war. But you never know. It's always like expect the unexpected. So I quickly try to put myself in this mental mind frame of disengaging from what reality was. So, and I say that as in like in preparation, they're telling us to like cut off all your bills, break all the leases and all of these things and stuff like that. In addition to that, I kind of broke off a lot of things with family members, girlfriends, you name it, man, and just try to like stay focused on what I had to go over there and do. So I did that, and we flew from Cali to Seattle, from Seattle to Canada, from Canada to Germany, from Germany to Kuwait, and from Kuwait we took a whole bunch of Humvees, tanks, and convoyed all the way into Iraq. First night we got there, we got incoming, and that let me know like this war stuff is real. The first mission that we went on, we got shot at. I'm seeing bullets fly behind me and land behind me. And obviously we had to fire back and shoot those people that shot at us. Been through many different excursions and things like that while we're there, and been into different situations. But the last one that really stuck out for me was the previous, it was like the last 8 months I was there. And the previous night we were out and we got attacked by some guys that had RPGs and mortars that were shooting at us. We captured them, we turned them in. We came back the next day to link back up with our unit. And while I was delivering supplies and we were going in a counterclockwise movement, my gunny, my best friend Salto, the doctor and the driver was in a Humvee. And I dropped off the supplies to them, said a little bit of words to them, pulled off. And within a matter of like 10 seconds, I heard the loudest explosion I could ever hear in my life, man. And it rocked my tank, tilted us. From that car explosion, the shrapnel from there struck me across the shoulder, above the eyelids, or the eyebrow area, knocked me down inside of the tank. Once I came back to Castanelli, came and picked me up. We checked on me, obviously made sure I was okay. We got out of the tank to check on those guys. And it was the worst scene I ever seen in my life, man. Nothing but smoke, fire. And then it's this the smell and the look of metal and fire and smoke all in one scenery is unbelievable, man. My gunny was covered up in smoke, but he was still alive. The doctor lost his leg. The gunner lost half of his face, and my best friend Solta was dead. And we eventually had to put him in body bag, put everybody in our first aid, get the medevac, and get out of there, man. And that was one of the most traumatic things I could ever experience in my life. And knowing that I was going to be able to go to war was one thing, but like going through that experience, man, is something that I'll never forget.
You can listen to On Refocus Radio, talking to our guest today, Michael W. Allison. You go to his website, michaelwallison.com. After you served 8 years in the military, what was the thought process for you in transitioning out? Did you have goals in mind already, or were you just ready to turn the page and kind of settle down first before you took your next step?
Yeah, so I was at the point in my life where I just wanted something different. I think war really does something to you mentally, man. And when I was over there, one of the biggest things I saw was you cannot get complacent in life. You cannot take things for granted. And from there, I said I wanted to just move on with my life and start a family. So I got married. I had a son when I was getting ready to transition. And I thought I was ready for life and all of those different types of things in regards to like my preparation. It was not the best preparation, but that's what happened. I eventually got out, and I thought I was going to work for a police department, and that didn't work out. So I was left to go back home to my mom and dad's house. And it was one of the most suckiest feelings ever, man, going through that transition, because you've done all these things, all these great things for your country. And to come back and your transition suck when it comes to like either employment, and you're just trying to figure things out in regards to like your housing, your living, your finances. And if you don't have all of those things in order, you're in for a rude awakening when it comes to the real world. And I say that as in prior to, my house was always taken care of. I had a steady check coming in. My medical was always taken care of, so I never really had to give so much of a conscious thought, knowing those things were automatic for myself. When I got out, you had to figure all those things out on your own, and I had to do that.
When you started to go back to school, tell us about that process and what was your goal in getting into this new chapter of your life.
Yeah, so going back to school was one of the biggest thing that stuck out for me, because, when I first joined, it was to utilize the GI Bill. And I said, I'm going to change my identity and make this version of myself the best version of myself. And I had to work on myself, man. So I started digging into personal development and professional development. And one of the biggest part of that was to go back to school. And I got my associate's degree in emergency management. Then I got my bachelor's degree in information security. And then I got my master's degree in applied management and business. And then from there, man, I got a couple of IT certifications to become a certified project manager and a government contractor. And as soon as I did those things, started working on myself, so many doors opened up for me. I was able to work on the railroad to become a train master and manage the railroad from Atlanta, Georgia, all the way down to Macon, Georgia, for close to 5 years. From there, man, I left there, went to work for the government in Washington, D.C., and I became a project manager and a government contractor in Washington, D.C. for close to over 10 years. And then from there, I left there and I became the director for military students at Florida Atlantic University. One of the most enjoyable jobs I had to do when working with veteran students and their dependents in a school environment. And from there, man, once I got all those skills, I said I'm going to leave that alone and go into entrepreneurship. And that's what I did.
I read in your bio about success being the result of aligning your true identity with your life's decisions, directions, and destination. I mean, knowing your story from Jamaica, New York, Florida, military, going back to school, getting into your career, is all these checkpoints. What would you say always kept you going despite the adversity that you were facing throughout life?
There's always a drive for me, man, to never give up and always to take accountability and responsibility and just strive to be great and always helping people along the way. You know, I'm never one to blame anyone and always become accountable for all of my actions that I've taken in my life, man. And I'm someone that's deeply rooted within my faith, and knowing that I have enough belief in myself to get anything accomplished and get anything done. And doing so, you know, I had to change a lot of things in my life. So, you know, I always talk about decision, direction, and destination. Prior to some things in my life, you know, things was out of alignment. But once I got those realigned and got real focus, gained some clarity, and developed a blueprint for myself, success seems a whole lot easier. Even through the preparation and all those things, the opportunity was always presenting themselves. And I was always prepared, as I was always working myself and training myself in regards to being ready for whether it was a business opportunity, a training opportunity, a coaching opportunity, or a speaking opportunity, just to make sure that I was always going to be at my best every time a moment presents itself.
I mentioned earlier in the intro about you being a business consultant, keynote speaker, life coach, and also the CEO of the Adversity Academy. Tell us a little bit about your coaching and consulting and how the vision of what you're the CEO of the Adversity Academy came to play.
Most definitely, man. So it actually started a couple of years ago. I went to Houston, Texas to write a book or start writing my book. And I ran into Steve Belber, which is a good friend of mine. He writes for HBO, Netflix, and all those different shows. And I wrote chapter 1, and I kind of put my whole life story in chapter 1. And he was like, hey, man, I think there's more to your story that you need to flesh out here, but I really think you got something here. And we sat down and we talked about my life, and I really was not as open or transparent with some things that has occurred in my life. I was a kid that been through some childhood trauma, right? And I never really spoke about that or talk about some of those things, as either men don't talk about some of these things, or especially Black men don't talk about some of the things that has occurred to me when I was a kid. And then when I got out of the military, you know, that experience from Iraq really haunted me, man. When I was on the railroad, I experienced 2 suicides, and that really like messed with me. And I had to go get help. When I went through 2 divorces, and a second divorce brought me to the brink of suicide. I was on 13 different medications. I was arrested before for a DUI, been arrested for fighting with a police officer. And my life was a bit of adversity that I always kept facing and going through. And I put that on paper, and I put that inside of my book. And he was like, hey, man, let's extract the story here. You're one person that has been through an enormous amount of adversity, but you've bounced back, and your identity has shifted. You don't even seem like the same person that has been through all of these things. And we did that, man. I became very comfortable in regards to my transformation, my self-discovery. And I wrote that book, Overcoming Adversity, Getting Your Life Back Off Track. From there, that propelled me into getting on a stage to do a TEDx and talking about that same story, but applying different life lessons towards that. And then from the TEDx, the opportunity and the thought came up to open up the Adversity Academy. And who's best to talk about, teach people, work with people that has been through adversities and know how to get through it. And that's where the Adversity Academy came from. So from there, man, we offer leadership training, consulting, and coaching that's going to focus on personal development in regards to getting you best suited for the transformation and the clarity and the blueprint that you need in your life. When it comes to the consulting aspects of things, my background is very diverse in regards to like business and all of the acumen things of it. So I ran a construction franchise. We made the Inc. 5000. And then obviously some of the things that I've learned throughout my professional career, incorporating some of those things when it's working with businesses and strategizing, offering different types of solutions. And from those, man, I put all those into the Adversity Academy, where now it's delivered to you through coaching, it's delivered to you through workshops. You could have me come and do a keynote. I could come and do your retreats for you and things like that.
When it comes to the philosophy of your programs, you have a quote unquote breaking the bottle. Kind of explain that to the audience, and also the 3D method that you use for overcoming adversity with decision, direction, and destination.
Absolutely, man. I love that, man. I love breaking the bottle. And the whole concept behind that is we always use the term, we bottle up this emotion, we bottle up our feelings, we bottle all of these things up. And that's where the entire concept came from, where we need to break the bottle. And that was me. The childhood trauma, the military things, I didn't speak about those things for close to 30 years of my life, man. And it was doing so much damage internally for me that I did not even know it. And it was not until I broke the bottle and fixed all of these things that I started gaining so much clarity and understanding so much about myself to set new standards for myself, to set new values for myself, understand what my purpose is here on earth. So from that, how I figured those things out for myself was through 3Ds. I had to change the decisions I was making in the past to make some new decisions. I had to change the direction my life was going to apply the direction of where my life needs to be going. The destination is ultimately, where is it that I see my purpose? Where is it that I need to start targeting? Where is it that I need to put my mind? Where is it that I need to put my energy and my focus and strive towards that objective? And once I started aligning those three things together, things became much more easier for me. It removed all of the fogs, the stress, the anxiety, all of these things that was always hindering things in my life. And that's where the 3D method came in. And that's how the break the bottle concept came in as well, too.
We're talking to Michael W. Allison. Go to his website, michaelwallison.com. Coming full circle. I mean, like you said, everything that you've been able to go through, you didn't stay there. You kept moving. And for those who listening, maybe themselves or they know someone who just, and they feel like they're not making progress. Based on your own experience, everyone's story is different. But what do you think holds a person back who feels like they plateau in life?
I think two things hold people back in life. I think when we have these limiting beliefs, it's always tied to fear and overcoming fear. And that's what holds people back, number one. But the biggest thing on the other side of fear is all of the life lessons and the characters that it teach you about yourself, that you could actually accomplish anything. And you develop that belief and faith within yourself. The imposter syndrome is the other thing that holds people back. Sometimes people have done so much things in their lives, accomplished so much things in their lives, but they never look back or look at like all of the things that they've accomplished and be proud of themselves and feel like they're qualified to even be in certain situations, in certain rooms, or they have the God-given skills to be in those situations or those rooms or those network of people or environment. And I think those are the two of the things that holds people back. And whenever we have those types of things in our mindset and we need to shed those things is what ultimately holds people back. But once people realize those things, which is what I help people do, man, it's so much on the other side for you.
Being a business owner, CEO of the Adversity Academy, and also the other things you do as a business consultant, keynote speaker, and life coach. We're winding down end of the year. Everyone's talking about the economy, the news, this and that. What do you think you're going to hold on to in 2024 as you turn this page of this year into a new year? What's going to be your focus for the new year?
And my focus for 2024 is to continue to build the Adversity Academy, to get it one of the most renowned and trusted brands that's out there. The next thing for myself personally is going to be totally accountable for every single thing that I do for myself and for my business. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it and make sure I get all of those things accomplished that I said. I trust in myself. I believe in myself. I have total confidence in myself. And once I could do those things and just progress And I've been preparing myself. So I know that opportunities will be there.
Last thing I ask you is, if someone listening to this and they want to partner up with you as far as get your services for life coaching or learn more about the Adversity Academy, what's the best way they can learn more about your resources and contact you?
Definitely. So definitely directly to me. To email is mallison@theadversityacademy.com. Through my website, it's www.michaelwallison.com. There's a contact form in there you can submit. And also the same contact form is on theadversityacademy.com that'll come into our team. And then if you send me a message, most definitely just mention this podcast, and definitely we'll talk, because then I know where you heard my message from too as well. I am on all social media platforms at I am Michael W. Allison as well.
Once again, talking to Michael W. Allison on Refocus Radio. Once again, you visit his website, like you said earlier, michaelwallison.com. Again, thank you for your time, man.
I appreciate you, brother. Thank you, man.